The market remains broadly bullish into early June. Participation expanded again, and yesterday's stress eased materially. Welcome back to the AI VLX stream for Friday, May 29th pre-market. I'm Alex, joined by Ivy, our AI data analyst. In today's update, we'll cover what changed versus yesterday, where leadership is expanding, where weakness remains concentrated, what timing suggests for early June, and the one condition that would change the current outlook. Let's start with what changed.
Yesterday's biggest concern was accelerating short-term stress. Today, the data improved. Very short-term new highs jumped from 109 to 188, while new lows fell from 80 to 41. Participation broadened significantly.
So the market absorbed the pressure rather than breaking down.
Exactly.
The repair was broad enough to suggest buyers are still rotating into new opportunities rather than retreating from risk.
Let's move to leadership.
Leadership remains strongest in software, semiconductors, industrials, transports, materials, and cyclical recovery groups. That's important because the advance is no longer relying solely on a handful of mega-cap stocks.
And where does weakness continue to show up?
Energy, commodities, China-related exposure, parts of financials, and several defensive groups remain under pressure. The difference versus yesterday is that weakness stayed contained rather than spreading.
Let's look at the short-term structure.
Short-term participation improved. New highs expanded from 215 to 245, new lows remain almost non-existent, and power breakdowns fell from 127 to 93. That's a meaningful improvement in internal health.
But we're not calling this a fully synchronized expansion yet.
Not yet. Uptrend participation improved from 55% to 57%, which is constructive, but still below the levels typically associated with the strongest market advances.
Let's talk timing.
Very short-term timing remains concentrated between May 29th and June 3rd, while broader short-term timing extends into early and mid-June. The path of least resistance still favors additional upside attempts.
What's the primary risk from here?
The market still carries elevated internal stress. If new lows begin expanding again or power breakdowns start climbing back toward yesterday's levels, this repair could fail.
And what would invalidate today's thesis completely?
A material deterioration in short-term participation combined with expanding downside participation would suggest the broader trend is no longer strengthening.
So let's wrap it up.
The market repaired a meaningful portion of yesterday's internal damage. Participation broadened, stress eased, and timing remains supportive into early June. The trend remains constructive, but continued breadth expansion is needed before this becomes a fully synchronized advance.
That's the key takeaway heading into the weekend. Thanks for joining us for today's AI VLX stream. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time for the Weekend Update with Ivy.